It's like all that ink wasted on 3 skull faces. There could have been way more damning evidence the way she presented it. I was like, oh, yes, we're really going to hear who Alex is. And it was just flat.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's what she picked out of the printout, then there really wasn't much.
Welcome back to A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and
Joseph. Yes, welcome back, everyone. We are here to talk reunion of Love is Blind.
That's right. Season 8, the reunion. We've been dying to talk about this.
Yes, simply dying.
Yes. Well, we watched it when it came out, and now it's days later.
Yeah, it's been a little busy to try to get this in, but here we are.
Let's talk about our busy week first.
Yeah.
Let's
busy.
We worked. We watched kids.
Yeah, there's just not much of a opening. This time around. Oh, between that and then having to also do the Bachelor.
The Bachelor. If you haven't seen our recap on Women Tell All, that's now live.
Yeah, it was a full week of that as well. So
that's right. But now, sadly, very sadly, this is the last episode of season 8.
I don't know about sadly, but yes, it is the last.
Well, the reunion was actually the most exciting part about this whole series.
Yes, this was definitely more riveting from a watching standpoint than
more riveting than 6 episodes of Pods.
Yeah, absolutely.
More riveting than a honeymoon period where no drama really happens.
Yeah. Which is, I think, yeah. I mean, at least, well, I mean, I'd say really it was like the last episodes. I mean, literally the last day for the weddings, or last episode for the weddings, and then this had the most shocking stuff in it. But yeah, here we are.
Yes, the finale. Shocking stuff. And the reunion. Everybody's brought back together. We hash some things out. We hear some people getting called out. And drama. But the updates were great too.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone, I guess, besides what Madison kind of looked relatively the same.
Yeah, no one had any major transformations.
Like compared to season 7 where Garrett came in with long hair and looked like he had a new, that was pretty shocking, but.
Well, it was such a stunning moment that it made the Love is Blind top 5 moments that we'll be talking about here.
Yeah, that I was like stunned about.
I could not believe that Garrett's glow up made number 4.
Yeah, I figured they all had to be these crazy, like super dramatic arguments or issues or whatever. But
and it was like, woo, Garrett, you look different.
Yeah,
I grew up my hair.
Really. I wonder what he must have thought seeing that be number 4, because that was, I did not have that on my card at all.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Well, not that I really would have any, since I've only seen 2 seasons, but.
So let's start with people's entrances. Some people looked pretty upset coming in off the bat. And we thought, whoa, because some people were like smiling when they announced their name coming in and waving, and it was a happy time. And then they got to Lauren, who looked quite upset and stone-faced. And they got to Dave, who looked even more upset. And then finally they got to Meg, who looked like the most upset person.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was like, I wonder if they're, I mean, obviously they have to be there, but they clearly didn't seem very excited to try to even show it. But
I
It was really
wonder,
like a chore for them to show up.
did they know their name was being called? Or, I mean, yeah, they did because
Of
they're
course, why would you be
walking
walking?
across.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen any TikToks or videos about Meg or anyone else. I don't know. Maybe it was more just because they really didn't want the TV drama of the whole thing. So having to come back and entertain this was just kind of bringing stuff to in the light again.
Yeah, but you wouldn't smile and wave for your
Yeah,
entrance.
I guess regardless, that's a little strange because I should at least try to at least show that I'm happy or excited or something. Not like depressed.
It
coming
was
onto
just
the
different,
show.
like wildly different from the other people that walked through the door,
Yeah, right.
and it stood out. But of course, you know who comes in on a longboard.
Yeah, the Joey with the longboard thing was. I don't know.
That's like his thing
I
now.
was shocked at how much it like turned into it, but
He longboarded into the wedding venue, which was only like a couple steps from the car.
yeah,
That was kind of ridiculous too.
yeah, and how he talked about like, oh, at least I got the longboard, and that was kind of cool, and it was like
It really
You-
was
you
like a
took
couple
2
steps.
steps.
Yeah.
stepped on the thing, and by the time you got back on the board, you had to like get off to open the door.
It's just like a first show thing or something. And then the wedding, he's longboarding in all goofy and crazy when he's about to not take this seriously at all. Now, once we could have found this charming, but now after seeing Joey for who he is, it's really not that charming anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's seen from a very different point of view now.
So let's go over the top 5 Love is Blind moments that they sprinkled in. And Nick and Vanessa said that they took a poll of all of the Love is Blind viewers and they voted on these moments, which some of them, I don't know, were so fitting to be in the top 5 ever moments. I could think of a bunch of other moments that could have been included, but let's go over them. So number 5, Chelsea and Jimmy, when they're in the pods and Chelsea's telling Jimmy, you know, I look like MGK's, I think, girlfriend or something. And then Jimmy goes, Megan Fox? You look like Megan Fox? That was number 5.
Yeah, and this was like, of course, this was like a moment I could expect that would.
That
Would
one was a
top
good
the
one.
charts.
That one was a good one. But to have that one be last and then some other ones get over that one too. I think it deserved to be a little bit higher. That was a good one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really since I heard about. I mean, you told me about like 6 about the big points of it, and 7. So I mean,
We watched.
I really
7.
didn't know what happened between other ones. So, I was like, well, surely maybe some of the older seasons would have bigger points or something.
Oh, there's a lot of drama in the older seasons. One season, they throw a ring. Someone throws a ring at another person, and
wow.
there's craziness. I think I told you about one of the times where the woman was working out and doing jumping jacks while the other guy was like spilling his heart out on the other side of the pods. And then he said, are you out of breath?
yeah.
Are you exercising while I'm telling you about my heartbreaking moment? This was Bartiz and Raven, I think. But that could have made one of the moments.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty worthy moment.
Yeah, I think the ring throwing one was like outside and they were on the vacation. I think it was a woman named Diamond, and I'm blanking on the other guy's name. But she found out that he liked men too or something, and he waited until then to tell her, and she got really mad and a ring was thrown, and then he said some mean comments to her like, your hair's sliding off your head, you better watch your hair, to his fiance.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
Oh, and then another season 1, I think I showed you Jessica, who was on the last reunion. She came back. Yeah, you saw season 7 reunion. Remember Jessica, who was with a partner that wasn't a part of the Love is Blind series, but they had a small toddler in a suit that came to that reunion. They invited him on stage. Like that was the reunion where they're trying to fill like crazy the people coming back.
Yes, yeah.
But now she has her life together and things are good and she's married to somebody. She fed her dog wine on her season and her dog's like drinking out of her wine glass. I
Wow,
don't know. That's like a scene that people are saying should have probably made the top 5.
yeah, that
moments.
seems worthy of the top of the charts.
Yeah. But anyway, those are like a few of some. But another one is where in season 2, Shane, you know Shane, right? The guy with blonde hair. He was on Perfect Match on one of the seasons. He talked to Chloe a lot on Perfect Match.
I only watched season 2 with you, so if he was on season 1, that was season 1. I think. I don't think I watched that one. Yeah,
but he was together with Natalie. She is the host of the Out of the Pods podcast that I like to listen to, and he went into her date with her in the pods, and he called her by the wrong name. And that was a big moment. He's like, "Oh, Shayna, yeah, what are you wearing?" And then she's like, "Oh, it's Natalie." And she already talked a little bit before that too. It was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
pretty big moments.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chelsea and Jimmy, that was worthy of a moment for sure.
Yes.
And so coming in at number 4, Garrett's glow up. And then they showed a quick clip of Garrett at the reunion with his hair parted and him in a nice outfit.
I don't know. I mean, this one, yeah, I really was stunned that this was this was on here. I would have never thought that would have been on there.
My jaw was almost on the floor when I learned that this was number 4. That's crazy. But number 3, Laura and Jeremy. That was the infamous scene that I showed you where he was wearing sunglasses in the apartment the next late morning, like maybe afternoon at that point. First of all, who wears sunglasses inside like that, like a shady character?
Yeah, this was the one I remember you told me.
I got so excited watching the scene, I had to tell you about it.
This was like a big dramatic moment from that. Yeah, so this one, yeah, and this, of course, like this I would expect to be up there, and so yeah, this seemed fitting for being up there because yeah, I remember you telling me, and
he was gone all night. She had the location on his phone. He never came home. She was worried about him.
I did think like I thought maybe, especially since that one was up there, then I thought maybe 2 or 1 could have potentially been like the Steve and Monica.
Oh, that would have been great.
Because I figured like, you know, the Jeremy thing was like almost very similar to the Steve and Monica. Right. So I kind of thought, oh, well, maybe, you know, one of theirs could be up there too, since this was such a big.
I totally forgot. That would have been a fantastic moment. Like the sleep study thing.
I guess because there wasn't, I don't know, they didn't seem to go as deep of into like a conversation compared to Jeremy and the other girl.
And Laura.
Where he like really defended himself in it, where Steve just kind of was like, oh yeah, I did it, I messed up, and I'll see you later.
I'm an idiot.
Where Jeremy was like more defending himself, and they engaged in a lot.
And Jeremy was like flat out denying things, and she was saying, come on, I saw you. All of a sudden you went to this club you didn't tell me about, and it's right near Sarah Ann's apartment.
Yeah.
And then she's like, goodbye. And he didn't have any good excuses for that.
Yeah.
But the craziest moment too of that season was when they all like came back for like a lake hangout day together. And then Sarah Ann showed up, and then Jeremy and Sarah Ann went to go ride jet skis in front of everybody. And then I think that's where Laura had her infamous moment, and she said, yeah, well, go kick rocks with open-toed shoes. That was her quote.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think you showed me this clip. Yeah. Yeah.
Where people were saying that could have made the top 5 as well. And
yeah, that's true.
she could have had 2 moments, but instead Jimmy had 2 moments in our top 5 list, which was interesting. Yeah. He's there twice. But first, let's get to number 2. So Lauren and Cameron meeting in the pods. They're from the original season of Love is Blind. You're like, who is this? But they're a sweet couple, and I think it's just showing like their overall relationship was an epic moment.
See, I did think too, like there could also be, right? Maybe there's some really iconic couple that got together and everyone just knew they would, go the distance
Yeah.
being together. And I guess this was one of those couples since it
They're like the
clearly
perfect
made
match.
number 2. But
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, obviously, it's going to be either end of the spectrum, right? It's either going to be a really great lovey-dovey scene or just intimate scene, or just complete annihilation of somebody.
Yes.
But yeah,
So number 1.
and then we're back
Back to Jimmy.
with
Jimmy
his
comes up a
love
lot
triangle.
on this reunion. He
Yeah,
comes up
I
later
wonder if he
too.
watched this episode.
I hope he did, because he was featured quite a bit.
I feel like he's been so burned from the series, he probably doesn't even like
Yeah.
want to be associated with it
He's like,
anymore.
oh gosh.
Because I feel like him as a brand from it is not well at all. So
But he's giving out coaching tips to his pal
yeah,
Ben.
this I couldn't believe, because we'll have to talk about that. But
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
I completely got the people mixed up with this. But yeah,
We'll get to that.
but anyway, yeah. So he's here with
Jessica.
Jessica's
Jess.
infant. Yeah, that's what I don't know. I said Jessica, but that her big infidus moment. I remember you telling me about this. And
I was like, this
watching
is iconic. You have to watch this when it first
whole-
premiered. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna choke on your EpiPen. And
No. You're going to need an EpiPen
Oh.
when you get out of here and you see what you missed out on. You are going to choke. You're going to need the EpiPen to open up your airways.
Yeah.
Because this is when I think Jimmy calls it quits with Jess and picks Megan Fox, because he heard the other girl looks like Megan Fox. So he's
Yeah.
like, goodbye. But
Yeah.
she's like, you don't know what you're missing. Which I thought was a great moment. That deserved number 1. That was awesome.
Yeah. Which then they brought her, or they had like a clip of her
Yeah.
telling her she was that, and she has a little clip saying she's honored for
Which is really
being
nice.
number 1 on that. But
Which she sends a positive message, like always stand up for yourself and know your self-worth.
yeah,
So kudos to Jess. That was great. All right, let's go into our couples. So we're going to cover Taylor and Daniel first. They, off the bat, come in together kissing. So we know they're still together from the moment you see them, which is kind of a relief.
yeah. I thought we didn't think there'd be.
No, but always something can come out of the dark. So
yeah. I mean, I guess it's been a year later, so who knows what happened when.
sometimes
not
they like to
filming,
throw
but-
in some mystery, like, ooh, what
Yeah.
could have happened? But
I mean, it seems unless there was some crazy thing that definitely seemed like there was nothing wrong, at least by wedding day. No major issues that were gonna in the foreseeable future that would have separated them. But
right.
yeah, no, there's still.
You don't know what happens in a year, so I
Yeah.
always have like a little bit of like, oh no, in me when I watch this. But yeah,
Yeah, I felt like them. I expected them to.
I did too for the most part. But
Yeah. Well, I know.
but when you come in,
I mean, that's true
kissing.
because I mean, obviously you've watched it more, so I'm sure you've seen where
yeah, I've
someone
seen some
has come in
terrible things.
and they are no longer together by reunion. So I'm not as seasoned of a veteran in this. So
Yeah, I was thinking, oh yay, we don't even need to talk to them to know this, to confirm it.
yeah.
So
But yeah, they're here. They're great. I guess this is like always their formula because they always start with the married couple or the ones that are still married and everything's going great. And
yeah,
they show some pictures of their life together so far. So they showed obviously a lot of their Christmas and how that was handled between their families and just how it was all together since they're Christmas fanatics.
so they both say they had a really good year, and Taylor makes some joke about following and unfollowing at the beginning. Did you notice that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was at least they're at the point where they can make light of it now. So
Yeah.
that's good.
And Taylor says that they laugh a lot together. Daniel says that she's the kindest person. And Then Nick asks Daniel about his Taco Bell tattoo. Like, did you get the Taco Bell tattoo on your lip? And he says, no, but I did get a picture of Taylor's eyes on my chest. And then he pulls down his shirt because they want to see it.
Yeah, and this, I don't know. The tattoo was very strange looking. Like, I thought it would just be the eyes, I guess, but they
Me
give the
too.
square, like the rectangle of like
Why
a
would they
background.
put the rectangle in it? I don't understand.
I guess because
this.
to make it look a little more of like a human face eyes versus just.
But it just looks like you
but
cropped that part of the picture out, I guess.
yeah, it's
like
just
in a
like
square
shaded
crop.
in, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally thought it was going to be just her eyes. And I thought, oh, okay, that could look cool.
I don't know, still the whole thing I thought was a little strange, but like just to get their eyes tattooed like
Yeah.
on you, you just can't look at her eyes and see them.
Well,
but
then she's going to look at him and see her eyes.
yeah, that's. I don't know how I would feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a sweet concept, but when I saw the tattoo, I was shocked of what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice sentiment.
Yeah, I mean the thought of it's nice, but the execution was strange.
Yes. It's a little odd. And we learned that they bought their first home together, which was exciting. And then we got an update that Daniel's mother got diagnosed with leukemia and she received a bone marrow transplant and she's going through some treatments and things, but she's doing well now.
Yeah, so that's great to hear. And
Yeah. I think I saw online like a lot of people are sending love and support his way, and he posted something like, I'm so grateful for everybody thinking of my mom and my family. It's so nice. So
oh yeah, that's nice.
yeah. And then something else to note, final thing to note, people are comparing him and his look to Leonardo DiCaprio now. Do you see it?
I don't know if I would have gotten that, but it did seem like, I guess, because he was, I don't know, like a very minor 5 o'clock shadow, clean shaven kind of look during the show, and he I guess has a little bit more scruff to him, but
And his hair was like styled like Leo's.
oh no, I did not think that, but
I have to show you a side by side that people pulled together.
yeah, maybe that
But-
would be more convincing, but I did not think that looking at it.
I thought that later when I saw the side by side, but it's just something people are saying now. I don't know if I initially got that impression either. So they're doing great. But let's move on to Devin and Virginia. And Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey's intro lines to each couple was quite interesting. So when they went into Devin and Virginia, they say, he wanted a teammate for life, and she wasn't ready to be his wife. I
Yeah.
loved these little lines because I would totally like come up with something like that if I were introducing.
I feel like that's almost what is becoming like Nick's iconic parts of being a host of these shows, because it was very big with season 7. Like he was the puns were the big,
Yeah.
the big, big thing in this, and now it's like the rhyming of the words.
I love the rhyming. I love that we
and-
switched to rhyming.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, I like both. I mean, both. I don't know. I mean, I'd say both are okay. It's a fun little thing to do, but yeah, he's creating a name for himself in that.
That's right. So Nick asks, what happened between the prenup and wedding day to Virginia? And Virginia says, we were just not in alignment on some very important things, such as core values. And she says, Devin wasn't really comfortable talking about this on camera, and I don't want to speak for him, but I will tell you what I am passionate about. So basically, Devin is the opposite of what she's passionate about, because that's the way she made it seem here. But she says, I believe different religions should be valued. I believe in support of the LGBTQ plus community. I believe in a woman's right to her own body. And because of these things that I believe, ultimately our lives together didn't align.
She brings up too that she was trying to have more of these conversations while they were, still testing things out. but he didn't seem to want to as much. And I think that was also part of her decision. Which, yeah, I think ultimately they had uh, different opinions on these of things. And
which are pretty big things. So
yeah, I mean that's going to be tough to if you're not aligned on those types of things to really stay strong. So
but Devin was kind of quiet, but he says, I believe you can be in a relationship regardless of your different views, though.
yeah, yeah. I think you probably could for a time, but I think eventually it's gonna become too much of an issue. And
Yeah. I think overall they should have talked about this more, and Devin probably clammed up a bit and just like cut conversations a bit short.
yeah, I mean, I think their whole thing could have never, or the whole thing could have been avoided to not show up or have a wedding day. It could have been called off a lot sooner. And yeah, I think it probably was a lot of him just not wanting to discuss things, and she kept trying to pry, and he just wouldn't budge. So
And the
then,
short answers he would give were against the things that she believed. So
yeah,
that was it for her. So Virginia also says the night before the wedding, she found a note from Devin's ex-girlfriend on his nightstand in his hotel room. And then Devin says, this is out of context. She's one of my best friends and she is together with somebody in my wedding party. And the note was just wishing him and Virginia well, and saying how she was happy that they found each other. So I kind of believe Devin's explanation on the note.
yeah. I mean, this thing seemed a little, I, I don't know, blown out of proportion, or just wanted to try to have more of a case into why she said no. I mean, I think the difference of opinions already would have been enough to not proceed with things. But yeah, she brings this up, but I don't know, especially with what he kind of said. And if that's the case, then I really don't think, I don't
Sounds
know
very
why
innocent.
that she would have been bothered by that.
But another thing she was bothered by, a $1,000 check that she finds out about from Devin's mom and not from Devin. So she said she heard about this. Devin never brought it up. She doesn't know what he did with the check. Did he just cash it for himself? And all these thoughts are spinning in her head. And Devin says, I was saving it until we got married. I was just hanging on to it. It would have been ours. We would have been a couple together with it.
Yeah, which is like what I was
That's what you originally said, right?
thinking. And yeah, I guess clearly glad to know we were on the same page. But yeah, I mean, I really don't understand the blow up from her side of this to do it, because yeah, I don't think he would have been trying to hide it or been secretive about it. I think he would have definitely talked about it, or just said, "Hey, look, we got a check from my whoever for $1,000 here, so let's write him a thank you or something." But
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there was any like secret intention behind that at all. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess he could have said, hey, like, we got a check from my mom's boss or whoever it was. I mean, he could have said something, but was he trying to be malicious with it? I don't think so. And I think he would have told her about it.
yeah,
But yeah. And then Virginia also says she got Devin a pretty elaborate birthday gift with gift cards to all of his favorite places. And she needed help bringing up his presents to the room. And Devin told her, can't you get it yourself or something? Which sounds terrible.
yeah. This was, I guess, this was one bad thing on Devin's part to. I mean, that he could have probably done better or been more willing to help out, especially if it was
Yeah.
knowing.
If that happened and it was his birthday gift, like how sad. I'd be like, oh my gosh, you got me a gift. Like, how sweet is this? I couldn't imagine ever turning someone away or saying, can you just get it yourself, for someone who like got something thoughtful from me.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
he have done this? That's terrible. Yeah, I guess he did. But
Yeah, I would think that would. I mean, I would kind of believe her on that part of it.
yeah,
So
can't you get it yourself?
yeah.
I would be crying on my way to get it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So that was a no.
That was a no. So Virginia says, she tried calling Devin after this and he hasn't answered any of her calls. And he stopped talking to her after the wedding. And then they get into a little thing back and forth. They disagree on who actually ghosted who. So they don't agree on that. They're just really not on good terms here.
Yeah. Yeah, they clearly have kind of really fallen by the wayside, which I would. That's what I would. I don't know. I would kind of expect that if you say no at the altar. I mean, I don't think you're really going to continue on, or I don't know. Maybe you could end up being friends, but
Who do you think
I don't
ghosted who,
really
though?
would think how.
Did Devin ghost Virginia? Did Virginia ghost Devin?
Yeah,
Who?
I guess if I had to guess, I would probably think maybe Devin ghosted her, but yeah, I don't know. The throwing that, I mean, said no, the relationship didn't work, and that's it. I mean, I don't think there's really going to be much of any kind of continuation of a connection and whatsoever, amicable or romantic.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good shot of that
No.
ever working out after that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the whole ghosting thing, I just feel like, I don't know. It's, I mean, isn't that, I guess, I guess you could have a formal thing to part ways, but I feel like that'd kind of be inclined when you get rejected.
Just
at your
cut it
wedding
off,
day.
and that's it. Yeah. So Devin ends by saying that she is a good person with a good heart, and then she's shaking her head, like frustrated with him.
Yeah, so clearly they are going their separate ways.
Yeah, I wrote not good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a shame to see the problems afterward, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll never speak to each other again after this.
Probably not. So let's go into Sarah and Ben. And Nick Lachey's quote was, Ben's zest for life did not translate into rest of life with Sarah.
Yeah, I wonder how long. I'm sure a writer came up with that, not him.
Or
But
AI.
yeah, that's true. That is an option as well now. But yeah, this whole thing. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was just crazy. Everyone.
Yeah, both people were crazy.
The whole argument afterward, it doesn't even make any sense to me either. She was going to Nashville for her job, or I guess it was her old job, but regardless, some job, and she asked if he would come along, which I don't understand this.
Well, I really don't understand this because at the wedding, Ben said, yeah, we're not getting married, but I'd love to continue to see you and to date. And she was like, oh, well, we'll see about that one. And then in her interviews, she said, I have no intentions of dating Ben.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're together or they're trying to make things work.
I didn't even understand if this was like supposed to be in a romantic thing or just.
Yeah, you said maybe they were buddies and pals. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? They're buddies and pals.
She had this whole thing like they would never get back together at the thing.
Yeah, that's why this whole
And
thing doesn't
then
make any sense.
Yeah.
But then we learn at the reunion, they lived together 2 weeks after the wedding. And then she had to go out to Nashville for her job. And she said it was perfect because he works remote. So I was already planning like a really good work spot for him in my Nashville apartment. And then she drove the 12 hours to Nashville. And then when she got there, she discovered Ben deleted her off of the Find My Friends app, so she couldn't see Ben's location anymore. So basically, Ben just followed her to Nashville, made sure she got there safely, and then deleted. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, which I would I
How are they
would
not clear
figure. I
about
don't know.
this?
I would. Yeah, I mean, I guess clearly there. I don't know. There was more, but I think a lot of these, it's like they think it's almost like a subtle thing. Like you just know that we said no at the altar, so we're not going to work as a couple, and we go our separate ways here. They never vocally said that, but I guess that's what they kind of thought internally, like Ben and Devin and their situations. And so then they just, cut the person out, but then they got all upset that they cut them out.
But I don't understand the living together for 2 weeks after and then doing this.
Yeah,
And then the complete lack of clarity in the Nashville situation.
yeah, I mean, this whole thing was really, really bizarre. I was very confused by this. Like, I was totally expecting to just hear that, maybe they're, I don't know, they talk occasionally or something, or they haven't really talked since the wedding day, and that's been it. But
Yeah, so Ben says his understanding was that they were broken up when Sarah left for Nashville. This was not Sarah's understanding. And then Sarah said that Ben sent her like these long, what looked to be scripted apologies in text messages. And she said they were so obviously scripted. I just couldn't even respond to them. And Ben says, yeah, you ghosted me. And she says, I didn't view it that way.
yeah,
Just bizarre.
yeah, this thing was just very.
Well, Ben says you should have replied to my apology text. And she said, you should have written a genuine text because it wasn't even genuine.
Yeah. Oh, and then Sarah did too. She said, bringing up that whole TikTok thing about the girl talking about Ben. She was like, "Oh well, now that I know what I know about you, I totally believe her side."
Yeah, now she's all the way on the side of her.
And whatnot. But yeah, so I don't know. This whole thing was just like doomed from the start, and I was surprised it lasted as long as it did. But I'm still shocked to see all of these issues and arguments or things even after wedding day.
Yeah, and when Ben was up there, he did sound kind of scripted at the reunion. Like everything was a very like politically acceptable response.
Well, and so this was too, he mentioned to her, well, this is also where Ben got advice from Jimmy, our
Oh, so yeah,
lovely.
Sarah mentions, he needed to practice the reunion questions or something. And Ben says, I never said practice, but, I did get help from somebody and someone from Love is Blind. And then Nick and Vanessa, they're like, who? And Sarah's like, it was Jimmy.
Yeah, and Ben was like, I don't want to say the name. And then which I guess the cast already knew what the top 5 moments were because he said,
You'll be seeing some of him soon.
yeah, in the top 5 or something. Which then, even before Sarah said Jimmy, I feel like it would have been pretty easy. Or even still, the guys, you had 2 good moments of the guys, which I don't know, probably wouldn't have been one of them. Or it was like Jimmy or Jeremy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it.
That's true.
So, it would have been like an easy. But anyway, this was where, so when we were watching this, and I thought Jimmy was Trevor from season 6, the other guy that Chelsea was talking to.
Yeah, this is what happens when I just show you parts of clips and then they all blend together. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought, well, because you showed me I saw some of 6, the reunion from 6, and Trevor walked out.
And that
he
was
just
a
couldn't
big
even
moment.
handle the grilling.
That could have made a top 5, like astonished moment.
But then I thought, I was like, so this guy got advice from the guy who had to walk out because he couldn't handle the grilling of the reunion. But then it was like, all right. But even still, it's like, all right, so still the guy. But then, he wanted to talk to Sarah about, he claimed they talked about rehearsing reunion questions together, which he said no, but I would totally get that from Jimmy because he got chewed out as well. So
Yeah, I mean, he probably gave him advice like, be sure to say these things, don't say these things. This will make you look bad. This will make you look good. But to the point where they like practiced back and forth, like mock question. I mean, I don't think it got that deep. I would hope not. But
yeah, I think regardless, Ben was always, I think, pretty conscious about how I think he was being perceived
yeah, the whole
by
entire
TV.
time. The
Because everything he
whole
said
time.
was very making sure he was not stepping on any toes
It's
or
like he had a
anything.
PR
And
person.
yeah, yeah.
And so here's what he says at the reunion. He says, regarding social issues, I wanted to be vulnerable, but I haven't given it much thought before, but I realized that was incorrect. And I've grown and I've learned so much from Sarah. And Sarah is such a wonderful person for introducing me to these things. And I realized I must have been a little too privileged. And so it's a lot of just like, I mean, they're good responses, but I wonder if he did practice those responses or, just to make sure like, oh, I need to get this out and say
Yeah,
this. So.
yeah.
And then Sarah says, the problem really wasn't in the pods with Ben and, his thoughts on different things there. It was out of the pods where he didn't show much curiosity for the things that she was passionate about. And then Ben says, I agree. I could have done that better. So they ask about the Ben's church's stance on gay rights. And they say, like, did you really not know this? Or he says, no, I honestly didn't know. And he says, I'm embarrassed by this because, I never looked into this before Sarah brought this up to me, but I wasn't affected by this in my life personally, but I still should have looked into it. And I thought this was interesting because he did have the lesbian friend that came to meet Sarah. So he did have someone close in his personal life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just this. He was very just did not want to step on toes. He just rather would stay neutral through these things. And it was just purely a try to look good on TV because he just it was just everything that you would ask him if he had to pick a side on something. It was just always down the middle. Never had a opinion on anything.
Yeah.
So, and even with the reunion, it was just never picked a side on anything. So
Doesn't want to ruffle feathers,
yeah,
but can totally see Sarah's side, has a better understanding now.
yeah. I mean, he likes to play. Oh, I understand your side, but I think he would have done that if she had been the other way on things as well. He
Yeah,
really
it's like,
wasn't.
who really is Ben at this point? It's like,
He's just agreeing with whatever people tell him, but he's not really.
I know, but
giving
like,
an
who is he
opinion
as a
of his side.
person? We can't see the true Ben because he's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
agreeing with everything and is a good PR person right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't feel like you really get to really know him much through this whole thing at all.
No, it's like knowing a shell of a person and not really who he is.
Yeah.
But Sarah says, now she feels that Ben was not authentic the whole time. So yeah, to your point, I don't think that they will be speaking further.
Yeah. Which I would expect after a failed wedding day.
And speaking of failed wedding days, Joey and Monica. So Vanessa says he wanted to run laps. She wanted to take naps. Which, come on, how many naps did Monica take? Yeah, she was called the sleeper because of her sister, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they really honed down this thing. I think just because I think it's like if someone gets mentioned about anything little that they can just take and run with it.
Yeah,
they're gonna
that's
do
true.
that. But yeah, and even there, I mean, even theirs went kind of pretty south. As far as like their connection, and I
This
was
was sad to
I
watch.
was amazed. Well, not amazed, but that's the wrong one. I, I don't know. It was interesting to see so much arguing back and forth between like all of the couples and all the connections.
I think it's a lot of like built up emotions that they've been thinking this whole year.
Yeah, this other thing too, because I can't tell. Is it like reigniting like your frustrations or things watching it versus because I mean it's been a year now or whatever since you actually went through this, but now there's still all this passion and behind it and all these heated arguments, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like besides Daniel and Taylor, every single other you know couple or potential couple from the pods was all these heated arguments about everything. So
I felt really bad for Monica throughout this whole thing. I mean, it sounds like she was tortured watching this show back and cringing. And she says when she watched it back, she felt so stupid because it truly didn't look like Joey was into her romantically at all. And it was so blatantly obvious to her when she saw the footage back. And she just wants to reach through the TV and shake herself and say, he's not into you. Stop investing yourself in this man.
yeah, I mean hindsight's 2020,
But that really is sad because when she was saying a lot of that, if you think back to their clips, yeah, Joey's always like the goofball and he's never like connecting romantically or getting that deep with Monica. And she was really gypped of this experiment.
I mean I think the biggest thing was just I don't think it's the way they interacted. It's just they needed to have more conversations about deeper things or more serious things.
Well, if Joey actually wanted to pursue Monica, he could have made this work.
Yeah.
But I think he was checked out when he realized, oh, I don't romantically connect with her. That's when he should have stepped away. But I think he continued on this experiment.
Yeah, I mean ultimately once again, I mean I don't think this should have been made to a wedding day. They should have
Definitely not.
had this been more upfront with things beforehand. Or if he really wasn't feeling it, just go ahead and rip the band-aid off. But
Yeah, so she says you shouldn't have to force someone to want to touch you, your significant other. They both never told each other that they loved one another. And Joey says, I really couldn't get out of the friend zone with Monica, all because of her sister, which I thought this was a big cop out. You're going to blame the sister for not moving forward. I think he's latching on to her sister and really using that excuse.
yeah, I mean obviously that shouldn't be the reason, especially because I think she would have warmed up. I think over time, had you just had more time to be around him, if it was real. So trying to point to this as an out was, I don't think a great choice.
No, and then he keeps going on about it. He says, in the pods we talk about how my sisters are my best friends, and she said, her sister's her best friend. And then when we got out of the pods, it was just, man, totally different, and she didn't support me, so that's why I couldn't move forward with Monica. And then Nick Lachey calls him out pretty good too, which was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I was kind of shocked that Nick was even making some jabs or
It was kind of
pressing
nice.
people on some of their statements.
And he
So,
said, maybe her sister didn't approve of you because of your actions, which is totally true. I mean, I do think Monica's sister has said some crazy stuff that probably shouldn't have been said, but ultimately maybe she did feel this way because she saw that Joey was just acting like a goofball and wasn't dedicated.
yeah, well, I know for sure. Oh, her sister has got to be rubbing it in her face. She's
Right.
never gonna let this one down. I don't think. I think she will constantly remind her of this because she'll totally be like, "I was right the whole time,"
It's so sad.
and which I almost think, I don't know. It would be interesting for Monica going forward because I think almost anyone she's going to bring home to her family Now, I think is really going to have to depend on her sister. I don't know. Just thinking about it, I feel like she is almost going to trust her sister's judgment more about things with any future relationships coming out of this. But I mean, we'll see. It'd be interesting to see with that. But
Yeah.
that's just kind of my feeling with it now.
I mean, if her sister can spot a
Yeah.
goofball not serious about the situation, then maybe she can spot out some other things. I would just hope that her sister's not overly negative on everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she was not wrong about the feelings for Joey anyway. But Monica also lets us know that she's heard a lot over this past year. And she said that while they were at the tubing place together, Joey and Monica, they were still engaged. When they met up with everybody and Madison showed up with the pink hair, Joey then slid into her DMs.
Yeah. This seems a little strange. I mean, he tries to play it off as though it was just like a way to just catch up with, former cast member or, whatever people that they talk to. But we do find out that Joey did talk to Madison as like a potential date going forward in the pods. They really
Yeah.
didn't show Monica or Joey talking to anybody else. It looked like they just talked to each other the whole time.
Yeah.
But here you do see that it sounds like Madison did talk to Joey for a little bit. And so now Joey's trying to potentially talk to her, which, yeah, doing that really.
The act of doing that was just disrespectful when you're engaged to somebody. This is just showing that he's really not taking this too seriously because
Yeah. I do think, and then he tries to kind of play it off, and I just don't think that was really.
I was checking on somebody and
Yeah.
his text was, loving the pink hair. Wish we could have talked more.
Yeah,
Wish we could have talked more. What does that mean to Joey?
Yeah. Yeah, if you really wanted to defend I was just, just check it in.
Then why don't you say
should've
Monica and I
worded it
would
something a lot
love to
better.
go get a cup of coffee with you to catch up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Even then, something coming from Joey is just weird. He dated her in the pods. Why are you reaching out? Why? You're in a
Yeah.
relationship now.
Yeah. I would think at least just wait till after the wedding day or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
at
still
the
that'd
very
probably be
least.
strange, but
I mean, he's faking it until wedding day.
Yeah.
Okay. But this just proves that you were faking things.
especially if he knew he was checked out at this point, to really just drag it on to wedding day. That was a little crazy then.
Yeah, this whole thing is making me see Joey in a new light, but he did talk about Madison to Monica and tried to hype it up like Madison came up to him at bars, and then Monica was on some sort of, I think it was like a party bus or something with Madison later, and she brought it up to her and she said, "Is this true? Did you come on to Joey, or were you all over Joey at a bar?" Or whatever Joey was trying to say about Madison. And Madison said, "Absolutely not." And this is where Madison chimes in. She said, "I'm so happy that Monica came to me with this because this couldn't be further from the truth. I was not into Joey. It's a total lie." Then I think the two of them came up to talk to Joey about it. And so that whole thing was really weird. Why was he trying to boast that he was in these connections with Madison?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just seeing kind of what happened from this reunion, it really showed how quickly soured their relationship turned, and what a turn it took.
Yeah, big turn. Very sad. So I enjoyed Monica's mom too in the audience, and she was rolling her eyes at Joey's responses. So we see Monica's mom, but not Monica's sister live.
Yeah. I'm sure the sister would have intervened, and they would have had to ask her to be quiet or something if she had been there.
That would have been good TV. And Monica said, I really tried in this whole experience, and Joey's effort just wasn't reciprocated. back to me. And he's a good guy, but he's not a good romantic partner. And I'm just ready to shut this door and we can both be two people that exist on the same planet together. And that's how she ends things.
Yeah. And yeah, I can't see them keeping up a
No.
connection after this.
I think Joey does like a small apology to Monica and that's it. But yeah, I think Monica needs to find a better person and she deserves it.
Yeah.
Now let's get into Dave and Lauren. So Nick Lachey says to Dave, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, trying to let Dave have a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, I thought this was great. So Vanessa says to Dave, "How does your sister feel now?" And Dave says, her biggest concern this whole time was me being shown in a bad light on this show. And he says, "Here we are now."
I have to say the constant of him bringing this up is just like crazy. I don't know, just so much. The con of the, she doesn't want me coming on here because she thinks I'm gonna find someone that's on, for the wrong reasons or that to paint me out as a crazy person. And I don't know, just like every time he brings that up, it's like I know what's gonna be coming out of his mouth. But
It's like predictable.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like all in all, he's got some things to work on, but I do think he's getting chewed out probably a little bit more than he needs to be. But
Yeah, I think this reunion actually did him a lot of good. The way he owned up to his mistakes, the way he seems to be recognizing things now. And Ben's responses were very scripted, but I feel like Dave's were more genuine with his answers and things that he said too. So yeah, he's getting destroyed in the comment sections of his Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, so hopefully this helped a little bit.
yeah, I mean, this is why I could never do one of these shows either. Because I mean, I feel like you're either going to get painted out as a hero or a villain, and you don't really know how you're going to get turned out. I mean, it's totally up to the public eye, but if you could turn out like a villain, I mean, it's just crazy all the messages that
I mean, it
you
gets
get. And
you feeling bad for him, even though he was kind of a monster on TV. This is still a human who has feelings and they're dealing with things. And it is sad to see that side too.
yeah, well, and this is too. I mean, having his full name out there to be able to be found and find all his family members, and they can all the people, internet people can find his family, and I guess they're directly getting a lot of stuff too. And because he mentioned in one of his, Wade looked through his Instagram, and there was like one post where he was saying just direct all the hate to me, please don't do it towards my family.
Sad.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so obviously I think he was just trying to really be more real with things, and hopefully people would not be attacking him so much.
Yeah. So he says his sister struggles watching the show back, which makes sense. But they ask Lauren what it's been like watching it back, and she says it's been pretty tough on her too. But she got a lot of clarity, and it's clear her emotional maturity was light years ahead of Dave. And Dave says, that is very fair.
I think she did a good job. I mean, she didn't really press it. I mean, obviously, because I think she, has been seeing everything too that he's been getting. So she doesn't really press. I mean, if out of the relationship or, out of the conversations that were going to happen at this reunion, I figured that this would be like a big focus. But she didn't really lean into him much about it because I think she already understood. I think she knows that he knows, the mistakes he made and what he needs to do to improve. And already the backlash he's getting with everything. So, what's the point in beating the dead horse? So
Yeah, she says, I don't think he's a narcissist or a manipulator, master manipulator. He's just a person who made some crappy decisions, basically. So,
he also explained that he got more information because he was still involved with about the other guy that Lauren was talking to before the show, and ended up finding out that
the guy
really,
played him.
yeah, it was Lauren was right the whole time with everything. And
The guy was just trying to get some time on the TV show or some fame from it. And he says, now I believe you, Lauren, after a year. And
yeah, well, and to believing his friends with what they had to say about the guy and everything, they were,
well, he says everybody was fooled by this guy.
yeah,
But really, if he would have just believed Lauren or trusted in his fiance, then that could have solved things.
I think probably when he figured out that she was right about this the whole time, and then he wasn't really right, I think that probably really ate him, knowing that what a giant mistake he did and all the pain of, essentially breaking up over nothing and really not giving it a chance because of the silly thing.
Yeah. So he texted her a few weeks before the reunion, and she says, that's nice, but it's too late, essentially,
Yeah.
now. And then I think they ask him, like, is she the one that got away? And he says, yes, she is. And Lauren says, I don't necessarily believe this. He's had plenty of opportunities over the past year to reach out to me, and he hasn't. So,
Yeah, I wonder how long it took for him to find out, the information he needed to finally put it to bed for him. And, was it recent, or I imagine it couldn't have been too much later after they split up, but I wonder if she would have been more open to trying to maybe continue things if he had learned shortly after, and you know just laid his heart out and just like begged for her to
yeah.
come back, basically, that he made a mistake or whatever. But I don't know.
I think Lauren was just treated so badly. I was just happy for her to
Yeah, I mean, I think
break things
regardless,
off.
she should have just moved. I mean, even if he had tried, I think uh, you know the, the
Forget
time
it. Yeah.
was come and gone, and
Too late.
yeah,
That's nice that you're working on yourself and now you can see clearly. But going into it, you should always have your fiance's back on everything and
yeah,
trust them. That's what this whole process is about. So, but then they talk about the letter. So Dave says, he did give his sister the letter, but Lauren says, no, you didn't, because you went to go see her that night. I put the letter in your jacket pocket. It was still in your jacket pocket when you came back. So he must have given it to her later, if he ever did.
yeah.
So
That story didn't really make sense unless he gave it to her and she just gave it back to him and then he put it back. But that seems weird.
that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is really weird. So Nick Lachey says, there's an outside element and it wasn't even true. And now you've learned to trust instead, right? And Dave agrees. And this is where we end with them.
Yeah. And probably. Well, I guess they'll probably never talk to each other after this, but I was amazed. I guess Indianapolis just really is a very, it's like a big city with a small town feel or something. Because I'm amazed at how often they're running into each other when they go out to these places. I guess there really just is not many places to go or something. Because I was amazed to hear throughout the show where it's like, oh, I ran into them here and I saw them here and all that stuff. But
Just constantly.
yeah, so I guess they'll still probably run into each other or something. But will they actually continue any conversation with things? Probably
Maybe
not.
just some hello and nice to see
Yeah.
you.
Maybe Dave will try to do something to swoon her back or something.
Or maybe
but-
he'll drink too much, like that night where they all met up again.
Yeah.
And they talk to Molly for a brief moment, and Molly said, it was so hard to watch Dave lying to us in the pods, and because he called Molly his number one.
Yeah, that whole miscommunication from his part in his little triangle.
Yeah. And then Molly says, Dave could have done more to support Lauren, and he could have introduced her to his family. He definitely could have. Moving on to Meg and Mason. They had their own reveal and they showed it. Which, did they really just meet each other for the first time in that house?
This had to just be like a little. I don't understand how you would have not seen each other. I mean, you probably communicated originally to find each other through some sort of social media, which would have had like a profile
Instagram.
picture, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
No, they definitely saw pictures of each other, but do you think this was really them meeting for the first time? They hid each other until that moment?
maybe I don't know how in person you would have coordinated that still. Like, oh, I'm in this house at this house. I'll be in the office and you'll be in the dining room and then we'll meet in the living room together, right? I don't know that. I think they probably just did something to in light of like Love Is Blind themed by that, but no, the first time seeing each other, I don't think so.
Yeah, it was a little strange.
Because I think that just would have been way too many hoops to try to organize.
Yeah. Or I would expect the reveal to be like at the airport or I don't know, inside a house.
Yeah, I mean that just doesn't. I don't know how would you coordinate that?
Yeah, I don't know. So they talk to them and they are no longer together. Mason says, they're best friends now. They tried dating, it didn't work, but he won because of their friendship.
Yeah, He.
What happened to them?
I mean, they probably just tried it and it just wasn't. I think once again, coming kind of back into the real world with things, they just didn't click as much as they thought they did, as in the pods. And I'm sure there probably could have been maybe a little bit of, I don't know, if maybe in the back of Meg's mind or something, since she kind of thought he was his number two, if that could have held him back in some way. But I mean, they tried and they didn't. It clearly didn't get deep, I think, because I think in order to stay friends after a relationship, like I don't think it must go deep. Like you must not really develop a lot of feelings for them.
Maybe there just wasn't that romantic
Yeah,
connection.
it just was more of an amicable thing, I think.
Yeah. So that was all they really showed of just the two of them until Madison gets brought into the equation and Alex too. So Alex starts off by saying that Madison acted really different in the dates between him and Mason from what he saw on TV. And Mason said he felt a little played by what Madison was telling him in the pods. And Meg says to Madison that she contradicts what she's saying about Mason all the time. And she's saying different things about him in interviews. And so Meg's defending Mason. So everybody's kind of saying these bad things about Madison.
Yeah, so Madison, I mean, I think you could be a little bit different, if you're, dating multiple people or whatever. Like you may come off like a little bit different, I think, for different people, just because they're not going to be the same. So I don't think you're going to interact the same way. But it felt very, very two-faced. I don't know, just not necessarily two-faced, but just very the dynamics of their relationship, like Alex versus Mason. I mean, it almost felt like, breaking like high school terms or something. Alex was like this nerd that nobody talks to, and she was dating him and acting all cute and innocent with him. And then Mason's like the quarterback and this jock, and she's just like playing in this much more seductive way and whatnot. So just that part, I think, being so different was like a little strange. Where
And then leading them both on.
yeah,
too.
right. Like that, I think how different that she was interacting, I think, was like a little strange. I mean, I get it, yeah, because I mean, she was trying to say, well, yeah, you act different with different people, yeah, sure, but it was like very opposite ends of the spectrum and how you were interacting with them.
But Madison calls Mason out for saying he was into her, but then still dating Meg at the same time. And Mason said, well, I felt pressured to be committed to you, Madison. Madison's like, I didn't force you. He said, I didn't say forced. I said I felt pressured by you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mason was kind of being honest here. I mean, I mean, right. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think he even, he realizes, I mean, he shouldn't have said what he said. And yeah, I mean, he felt pressured. He said it and he shouldn't have. But yeah, I think he was kind of owning his mistake here. So
Yeah. And then Madison said, well, you're a manipulator. And then Mason said, oh, I'm flattered that you think I'm smart enough to be a master manipulator, which that's a kind of weird comment to make because he's calling himself dumb.
well, I think he's just trying to say, he's too innocent to try to do anything like that. And I mean, I don't think he was definitely manipulative. I mean, I don't really see that. I think he was just a little.
I think he was swooned by Madison's seductive talk and then did feel pressured that way after.
Yeah, yeah. He just fell into her charm, and there was just.
But she basically said, you have to commit to me. And he goes, okay, I'm committed to you.
Yeah.
But he was really mean to Meg in that process. So then Meg chimes in and she says, oh, yeah, well, I got screwed over by both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she kind of got the worst out of them all, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Alex said, that he thought Madison was manipulative in the pods and that Mason is a good guy. And Madison says, oh, funny you say that, Alex, because you're the one who's different off cameras. And she says, Alex is saying all these bad things about Mason.
Yeah. I will say I've normally been like supportive of Alex, but the part where she was saying, "Oh, you were totally different," and how you talked about him after the show and everything.
She said
and he
that,
said, "Oh, come on, don't be ridiculous. That's the most like ridiculous thing I've ever heard." I don't know, the way he like responded to that
oh,
almost felt a little strange. And then and then like immediately after that was where she was like, "Well, I got the screenshots." I mean, there really wasn't even
the
anything.
screenshots, I thought she was going to pull up these quotes that she was saying because she said, Alex said that Mason's weird and he has no friends and F Mason and all this stuff. And then she pulls out the screenshots and it's like, yeah, they had their own reveal with each other and they wore these types of outfits with 3 skull faces. And that was the heat, which I don't even think that's bad. I mean, depending on what context that was in.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, because I am no master of emojis, but I mean, doesn't the skull face like it can go either both ways? I mean, aren't people like, "Oh, I'm dead" from like being so funny or like so cute that like I'm dead or something from that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or it like literally is like, "Oh, that's disgusting or terrible or awful or something." I
Or it could even mean like, oh, that's embarrassing. They wore the same outfits that they were going to wear in the pods, or I don't know, even if it was like a light like, oh yeah, can you believe they did this? Ha ha. Maybe it was like a joke. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't think the screenshots really showed any like crazy evidence
It's
that
like all that ink wasted on 3 skull faces. There could have been way more damning evidence the way she presented it. I was like, oh, yes, we're really going to hear who Alex is then. And it was just flat.
yeah. So I mean, if that's what she picked out of to print out, then there really wasn't much. So I guess there really wasn't. I don't. So I mean, I believe Alex really on his side. I was just saying the way that he like said that don't be ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous.
Well,
I
maybe
don't.
you're onto something because, yeah, thinking back, after you said that, thinking back, that kind of makes sense. The response was really kind of weird.
it felt a little, I don't know, it just felt a little
Like,
like
of course
ungenuine
I
or
wouldn't say
like
something like that. Not
yeah.
me. Why would I say
Yeah.
something bad about him?
Which when she was like a screenshots, then I really expected like, oh, to him really be throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, I really thought he was, and then
But
he
he,
wasn't.
yeah. So I
So
don't know
who knows?
if
Who
that
knows?
was, or she just has not a good ability in picking out the right screenshots to to present. But
Madison, did you run out of ink at the end of that, and that was all you
yeah, I don't
got?
know because that did not really help her case at all.
No. Gosh, it had like such potential to be such a great moment.
Yeah,
So
great for her side at least.
for her side. And it could have made the Love is Blind top moments next year.
Yeah.
Instead, it might make the worst moments. But yeah, that's how the four of them left off, which unfortunately nobody worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, so at the end of this, I think everyone pretty much probably is real happy with their experience or gonna want to remember it or whatnot going forward besides Daniel and Taylor.
Daniel and Taylor, the dream couple. Thank goodness.
It's so funny too, like watching them, like they get their part over with. It's great, and then especially them going into this, right? They know it's going to be a great time because it's just easy for them. They get to just talk about happy moments, and then like that's it. There's nothing else. But then it's like they have to sit here and listen to all these arguments go back and forth. Like I don't
For
know.
hours. They were probably there
Yeah,
for hours and hours just listening to everybody
yeah,
not
just
get along.
stuck there and having to listen to all this. I'm like, man, that probably like let's just tell our story and go home.
That had to have been hard.
Yeah, this is just a pain to watch all this.
It's like Alex in the Women Tell All in The Bachelor, where she's in the
Yeah,
middle of the two
yeah,
people fighting and she's just ducking behind them, like, please, please, let me be anywhere but here right now.
yeah.
That was them. So there was a Love is Blind sock throwing basket competition. They bring out a laundry basket and they give people socks. And then they say, oh, well, Monica's mom needs a pair of socks too. I mean, she needs to participate in this challenge. And then they all throw socks in and see who gets it in the basket.
This was I don't
This was
understand.
just pointless.
What was the yeah? This was like a total fluff thing.
And then another fluff thing from Monica's side, they bring out like a bin of instruments and they say, oh, we're going to have our fam jam time. We're going to end everything. Everybody grab an instrument. They show this for like 1 second at the end.
Yeah, yeah, they were like really picking on Monica's.
I know they brought
habits
two different
'cause-
things out.
Yeah, nobody else and just that.
Yeah, that's it. And then 80 comes out from season 6, and we see Ollie from Love is Blind UK too. They walk out together, and we get introduced to AD's new podcast, What's the Reality? And we learn that they are in season 3 of The Perfect Match, and they cut to a promo of them introducing the perfect match, and then it ends in their surprise engagement.
Yeah, so this was. I don't understand why they gave this away because if they're contestants in Perfect Match,
Yeah, they were like, did they win? Did they win?
it
And then they're like, you're just going to have to watch the show and see. So, like, either they won as the best couple on Perfect Match or they just got together on Perfect Match.
yeah, or they like got together afterwards and within that quick
Or
time frame
after.
they got engaged. They
Yeah,
couldn't have got
I
that much.
didn't know they were
I
dating.
don't know. Yeah, it's very. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It doesn't get. I guess if you see them early on and they're strong, then you kind of know they must stay together through the thing. Or I don't. Maybe there could be. I guess it doesn't. It doesn't give much away.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh no, why are they telling us this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
But
it doesn't really because I
It
mean
doesn't. Yeah.
anything could happen really. I mean, yeah, plethora of options could unfold. So yeah, I guess. I mean, you just know the end goal now or the end,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I'm happy for them, and we're looking forward to watching Perfect Match.
Yes. That will, I think it's like what? I think they said or midsummer.
Yeah, I'm
If
not
they
sure
even give a
what
date.
date.
I thought I heard summer, but
I think so.
I mean, it sounds appropriate for something like that. So,
Yeah. So we're excited to see that when it comes out and recap that.
yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun. And then we learned that season 9 of Love is Blind will be in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, they're going to the West now.
Yeah,
From the Midwest to the West.
that's right. So I don't know when that premieres, but later this year, maybe the fall.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, we'll see who they get for that and whether it'll be exciting or boring in the pods there.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
And then we learn that there's a special musical performance by Alex Warren, which when they first said Alex, I thought the cast member from Love is Blind could be going on there. I had to do a triple take to make sure that wasn't him. But no, they said Alex's songs were in the season of Love is Blind. So this was interesting. He did a performance like in the pods and they had like drums in one
It was like
pod.
almost like a music video that they were
Yes.
shooting, but it was like, yeah, in the pods, and they had clips from different people interacting in the pods and whatnot. But yeah, it was interesting.
It's interesting. Good song.
Yeah.
And then it ends with everyone getting gold cups and drinking.
Yeah, drinking to them never seeing each other again.
Yeah.
Or talking to each other again.
Cheers to me never having to see you again.
Oh, I'll see you at the club apparently, but
Oh yeah, except at the clubs
but I
where
won't be
everybody's
talking
there.
to you
Yeah.
there. So.
Or any Love is Blind reunion things that happen in the future, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't be like recurring alumni to the future reunion episodes.
Yeah. Or they will
Maybe
come
Daniel
as
and Taylor,
singular
I guess,
people.
but nobody else.
Maybe as singular people.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Taylor and Daniel will probably see them.
I was shocked to see that they didn't even give like, oh, I guess AD, but that was it. They really didn't have much. I guess because they actually had enough film time of the arguments.
Last time was just insane with how many people they brought back.
There just wasn't enough arguing for them so they had to harness some of the time for them. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a wrap.
Season 8 complete. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A Fine Podcast.
Yes, thanks for following us to the conclusion of season 8 of Love is Blind, and don't forget to check out our social media if you haven't already, and subscribe if you like the content.
Yes, like and subscribe on YouTube, and we will continue on, so stay tuned.
We'll see you next time.
Love is blind, love is out. Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.